Hi, welcome back to the Guitar RX channel. Today we're going to do a little something different. We're starting an Esquire build, as you can see, an Esquire body, which is a single pickup Telecaster, which most of you already know. If you don't, that's what an Esquire is. Anyways, a lot of cool things are going on with this thing. When the wiring, we're going to do something called the Eldred cocked wah mod. So when you hit one of the positions on the switch, it'll give you a cocked wah tone sound, which is really cool. So that being said, we got a few things we're going to do. This body is going to be finished in an oil finish this time. And a lot of people have asked me, like, what's the advantages with the oil finish or regular finish? Basically, an oil finish, your grain's still somewhat open, and it's basically a finish that penetrates into the wood, so you don't get that really thick on top of the wood plastic stuff that you get with poly or anything else. So basically it's more of a natural true finish, and it looks kind of cool. This is an ash body, which means it has really open grains. So what we're going to have to do, first things first, is we're going to have to knock some of the grain down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water on this paper towel. We're going to wipe the water on here to raise the grain just a little bit. Then I'm going to go back with 220. We're going to start knocking the grain down. Granted, the grain's going to come back again after we put the first couple of coats. We're actually using Danish oil for this. So when we put the first couple of coats of Danish oil, the grain will rise again. That's okay, because later on what we're going to do is we're going to wet sand with Danish oil, creating a slurry which is going to fill the grain. But I'll show you that part when we get to that part. First things first, we're going to take a little bit of water on a paper towel, and we'll start with the top, and I'm going to wipe it on there just to make the grain swell. So once the grain rises, we can knock the grain down. So we're just going to go over real quick with the water. And the grain's already swelling, which is exactly what I want. I'll put a little more on here. And we're going to get this grain to pop up real nice like. Okay. Okay, the grain is swelling really nice. We're going to start with the top, then I'm going to work my way to the sides. Then I'm going to work my way to the back. Sorry, we've got bees all over the place. It's yellow jacket season again around here. Okay, now that is definitely risen. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to give this a minute to rise. I'm going to come back with the 220. We're going to start knocking this down. I'll be right back. Okay, I wet it down, and basically the grain popped nice and hard around there. You could definitely feel the grains risen a lot. So what I'm going to do is take some 220. And we're just going to start sanding until the grain gets knocked down until it's smooth again. Okay, after a whole lot of sanding, we got this really smooth, and we knocked the grain down real nice. We got everything done. Had a few lumps from when the body was cut out originally, so we got all those worked out, and everything is done and ready to finish. So what we're going to do is we're using Watco Danish oil. We're going to use a natural on here, so to really bring that ash out and keep it natural, kind of like a blackguard. This is actually going to be a blackguard Esquire, so we're going to try to do the natural finish Esquire. You could either apply this with a foam brush like so, or you could actually wipe it on with the rag. The first couple of coats I'm going to wipe on with the rag, so let me put my foam brush there. Okay, well, I already shook this up real good. So what we want to do is we're going to get this on the rag like that, and basically start wiping it in. So wipe on, as you can see, instantly it's taking it into this wood. It's going to look really nice. It's going to get all the darker curls and lines and mineral streaks in the grain nice and dark by keeping the lighter stuff lighter. It's going to really be cool. Basically, you just want to keep going and keep it wet. It's going to absorb and it's going to dry relatively fast. So you could actually put it on, a good deal amount on it with the first coat, like so. And I'm going to let this dry a little bit until it starts showing dry spots. In case if you would, could you give me a glove from inside, please? I'm going to put on a glove because I don't want Watco hands. Okay, as you can see, we got a couple coats of the Danish oil down, and these are the standoffs that I built for this. Basically, you put them inside the pickup cavities, and in that cavity will hold the body, so you can get the sides and the top like we did. All right, I'm going to take this off real quick because this stuff dries real fast. So here we go. We got it settling in the grain on the sides and on the top, and that's going to look really nice. What we're going to do is a couple more coats, and then when it dries in, what we're going to do is we're going to take some wet sandpaper, and actually wet sand it with the Danish oil and create a slurry of sanded, top wood and stuff. So all this grain is going to get filled even more. Then we're going to wipe against the grain with a clean towel to take off the slurry from the top, but not pull it out of the pores, which is what we would do if we went the long way. So I'm going to get a couple more coats on this thing, then we're going to let it dry. Then we're going to come back later in a couple hours and we're going to do the wet sand with the Danish oil. After we clean it up, we'll do one more big coat of Danish oil, let it sit overnight, and then come back tomorrow and start working with the armor coat. So, all right, that's it for right now. We'll be back when it's time to wet sand. Okay, as you can see, the Danish oil stained the body really nice. It's a really nice color. Really liking this. Now what we got to do is go back with more Danish oil and fill the grain. How to do this is basically you take your wet sandpaper. This is 400 grit, and we're going to get it wet with the Danish oil, just like that. Then we're going to go in circles like that, and we're going to make a slurry. We're going to get some wood dust and Danish oil, and basically fill the grain that way. So yeah, just kind of go in a circular motion like that. It'll start making a slurry. And basically what you want to do is let that fill the grain. Then we'll let it dry on there. We'll give it a wipe. And that's how you do it. So see, we're just going around in circles with the 400 grit. And we're going to go over this a bunch of times. It's going to take a little bit. Like sanding. It's never fun. But it's definitely necessary. We're definitely going to get this grain filled. It's like I say, this is ash, and ash is really closed grain. Or open grain, sorry. So I'm filling this in, and basically I'm going to keep going with this, and I'll come back to you guys when the grain's filled and show you the difference. Okay, we got both sides and the sides done now. The grain seems to be filled rather nicely. If we have to fill more, we'll know again tomorrow. But I don't think so, because basically we're going over with a wipe-on varnish, or almost like a wipe-on poly to coat this on top. And I think at this point, this grain is plenty filled. When we go over that, it's going to fill whatever the slurry didn't fill. But I do believe this is fine. Okay, we're on to our next step. We got the grain sealed, and we got the body tinted the way we wanted to with the Danish oil. Now we're doing a top coat with it's called Armor Seal by General Finishes. I already put one on here, and it's looking really nice. This is a semi-gloss, so it's going to give you some nice gloss and shine, but it's not going to be too obnoxious. We're applying this with a foam brush. We may get some air bubbles, but actually they look to be smoothing out of the surface. That's okay, because basically what we're going to do is, between coats of this, we're going to use 4-aught steel wool, and we're going to knock the surface down, and then we're going to go back and clean it with some naphtha, and then we're going to go back on with the next coat. We're going to do about 3 coats of this, and basically by the time we're done, this is going to be this beautiful, beautiful semi-gloss body. Okay, it's the next day. The first 2 coats of Armor Seal dried on here. So I cleaned it down with steel wool, 4-aught steel wool, took anything high, anything uneven off here, and put the last big coat on here. And I'll tell you what, this thing is slick and amazing. The finish feels great, the grain's sealed beautifully. And I tell you what, man, I'm going to let this cure for about 48 hours or so. Then we're going to start do the final wet sand, real light with some 1200 grit. And then we're going to come back and polish this thing. She'll be all done, and we're going to put us together an Esquire. Anyways, I'm going to let this dry for a couple days, and we'll get back to y'all. Okay, we got about 3 coats of the Armor Seal on here, and it's dried up real nice. So, looking at it, looks great. We got a nice semi-gloss. And when you look, we got a few white marks and stuff left on here from when we applied it and all that. And there's a few bubbles. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand this out real quick. They call it rubbing it out. No pun intended. But we're going to sand this out, and then we're going to wax it up. And I do believe this finish will be done. As you can see, we got a nice glossiness, but it's not too obnoxiously glossy. It's a nice semi-gloss. And I've already knocked some of the back down, and that looks really nice. when we wax it up, we're gonna use paste wax and buff that in. It should come up again to a real nice shine and be very durable and very strong, very hard. Anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with some wet dry. We're gonna start with 600 or 800, excuse me, so we don't want to take too much off. And we're just gonna start making some circles, watching the edge so you don't burn through. And yeah, basically we're just gonna go round and round. We're gonna knock the finish down, smooth it out. Then we're gonna come back with 1200, and then after the 1200, we're gonna come back with 2000. See if we could bring like a natural shine up. But as you can see, we're getting a slurry right now, so I'm gonna keep the paper clean and keep the paper moving. And yeah, and that's basically what you do, is nice tight circles. You know, you don't have to go with or against the grain. I like doing it in circles, that's up to you. But it comes out real nice. Anyways, we'll get back to you when we start with the 1200. Okay, we're now back with the 1200 grit. And tell you what, all the wood imperfections, bumps, and smear marks are totally pretty much gone on this side. And it's starting to look really, really good. It'd be really, really smooth. Okay, I'm going to give this a wipe. And then we're going to take a look at it. Oops. See how we're coming. But it should be pretty much ready. This side anyway for the 2000. Oh yeah, it's looking really nice. We're maintaining our gloss, but we've knocked it down flat. It's super smooth, silky smooth, and definitely better than it was. I mean, it's super smooth, super nice. We're gonna come back with the 1200, or with the 2000, excuse me, start bringing up a shine. Then we're going to work on the sides. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the sides because they did lay down rather nice. And a lot of times when you do the sides, you end up burning through. So we'll lightly go over the sides probably with the 800 and probably leave it at that and then buff it back. We're going to come back and do the front with all 3 papers. Then we're going to apply the paste wax. Okay, I got the body sanded down real nice. Got it, worked it down to 2000 grit. We got it pretty darn awesome, nice and flat, and we're ready to start bringing it back up to a shine and sealing it with some good old wax. First, I'm going to take some naphtha, and we're going to clean all the sanding junk and gunk out of the grain and out of the body. So just going to wipe it down, and then we're going to let it dry, and then do the back side just like the front, and basically get ready to start waxing this thing up, putting on a nice shine. But yeah, this thing came out beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Next step, bring up a shine. Next step after that, build us an Esquire. Okay, we're back. We wet sanded all the way up to 2000 grit, and we came back and I actually used Jack's Wax Swirl Remover, and we buffed it in with an orbital buffer. And I'll tell you what, this finish is incredible. He tilted up, see if I could capture some of the shine in the video. But we look from across, down there you go. This came out beautiful, incredible. So there you go. That's how to do a hand-rubbed oil finish with a armor seal coating. Not too hard to do. It takes a few days. We had this thing curing for about 72 hours before we came out and did the wet sand today. But if you're real careful, let the paper do the work, don't put brute force down and watch your edges, you could come up with a gorgeous finish. Okay, I bolted the neck on. It's a real cool neck, actually. This is an old Greco Japanese neck, probably from like the late 70s, early 1980s. But this neck is fantastic. It's got nice wide low frets in there. It's got a nice rosewood board and a nice piece of maple. And it's got some shallower tuners on there, which were on there when I got the neck, so I'm just leaving that as is. And I got these cool custom plates on eBay. You can check this guy out. They make custom neck plates. It says Limited Custom Art Series, which is kind of cool because it gives your guitar kind of a uniqueness when you put together your own stuff. And obviously you're not trying to copy Fender, putting Fender Custom Shop or this or that, because you made it yourself. Why would you want to put their name on it? Anyways, yep, so the neck is mounted. So the next step, what I'm going to do is we're going to spot the pick guard, which I kind of already did. I made some marks, I'm not going to lie to you. Did it before. And basically what we're going to do is drill on the marks, and then we're going to bolt down the pick guard. Then we're going to spot the bridge and mount the bridge, which means we're going to have to drill mounting holes. Should be a real easy spot because the string through holes are already we're pre-drilled through this, so that'll be a piece of cake. Anyways, I'm going to start drilling the guard out. We do that right now. You can check it out if you want. Well, you don't have a choice because I'm going to film it. Anyways, we're going to go right in the middle. About down there. There's the last one. Okay, so now we're going to mount up our guard. And we're going to use a number 1 screwdriver, which, let me get right back to you. I got to get a number 1. Okay, we're going to put the screws in now. And there we go. Nothing that you all wouldn't know how to do, but just be real careful when you put them in. Don't start them off at an angle. Don't strip the heads. That looks really nasty when you put together a new guitar and you get all these reefed out bolts. In all the years I've spent teching, working on guitars, and the shop that I worked on so many customers' guitars that they kind of DIY'd and kind of messed it all up. I had some of the ugliest looking stuff come walking through the door. I couldn't even tell you guys. Sorry for the airplane. It happens. There's a nearby airport. But there we go. Alright, so I'm going to finish putting in these screws, and then no point in showing you any more of this. And we're going to get right back to you. Okay. We got the bridge basically where it needs to go. Now all I got to do is I got to mark the holes where to drill. So basically I'll carefully put my finger down on it, double check again, make sure we're still good, which we are, and we're going to go right there, center, 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 and center. Okay, now find the right bit for this. We're going to drill this, and then we're going to mount this bridge. As you see, we got the pick guard all mounted nice, and this thing is really taking some shape and really digging it. Cool guitar. Love Esquires. I can't wait to get this thing actually wired up, strung up, and playing. Actually, the next video we're going to do is going to be wiring. We're going to, after we're done with the assembly today, we're going to hold off because we got some parts coming still for the wiring, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wire this thing for you guys. And this thing is going to be amazing. Actually, we're going to wire it, set it up, and give a demo. So it's going to be awesome. Okay, I'm going to drill the bridge holes right now. Start it right on that screw hole. Go down. Okay, so there you have it. We got the bridge holes all drilled in, ready to mount the bridge. Okay, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to run a ground wire from the bridge into the cavity. So I'll be right back with a piece of wire, and we're going to run that through, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing. Anyways, we'll be right back. Okay, I ran a bridge ground, which basically is some pushback fender wiring, cloth wiring, and we opened up the wire about to the end of the cavity right there, and about right to that screw hole. So when we put this bridge on there and tighten the bridge down, it's going to squeeze that wire up against the bridge, and basically you're going to have a bridge ground all the way to the jack when we're done. Next step, what I'm going to do is take the pickup that we're putting in this guitar, and I'm going to put the pickup in the bridge so I can mount the bridge and leave the bridge alone. I won't have to mess with it anymore. Actually, we're putting in a real cool pickup. We're putting in a 1969 Fender Tele bridge pickup in here. So it's going to give it some old mojo. It's going to give it some real spank, which is going to be great. Anyways, let me go get the pickup, and then we're going to mount it in the bridge, and then we're going to mount everything down and then bolt the bridge home. I'll be right back. Okay, I mounted the pickup in the bridge, and as you can see, I want to show you this pickup real quick. It's a really cool gray bobbin 1969 Fender tele pickup, which is going to go great in this Esquire. Super old school, awesome pickup. I cannot wait to hear this thing in this build. Okay, so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to feed these wires through the wire channel, because we're going to get that where it's going to go. That was in there like that. Alrighty. Now, like I said, we're going to put this ground wire under there, keep it under the bridge, and we're going to dunk the bridge in there just like that. So the ground wire right now is trapped underneath the bridge where we want it. And what I'm going to do is put in these bridge screws. What I like to do, here's an old candle. I like to, whenever you're putting in screws and stuff, it's really good sometimes. Take some old paraffin wax or any kind of wax, it's a little bit much, and just kind of wax up your threads just like that, and then put it in there. What it does is it keeps the wood from splitting, and it helps the screw go in. It helps it glide into the hole. Grab the screwdriver real quick. Okay, and whoops, hold on 1 second. Let me get this out. That was ridiculous. Hold on, let me get this out. Okay, let's start this a little bit. If I drop this again, I'm an idiot. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we're putting in this screw. We basically have this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw to go in. Let me put these screws in. Okay, I got the bridge all mounted right now, and I got the pickup mounted in the bridge, and I got the wires coming through in the cavity. I'm not going to be able to completely wire it today because I got some pots coming that I ordered, and I got a couple of capacitors coming that I ordered. But anyways, this is kind of where we're at right now. And I am going to spot the control cavity cover. I'm going to actually screw that in. But yep, she's definitely looking a bit more like an Esquire now. Finish came out just so beautiful and so shiny. I just love it. If you look down the guitar, it's just like gorgeous. It's so pretty. And the black guard just looks killer on this with the rosewood board. Anyways, I'm going to spot the control cavity. Then we're going to get back to you. But yeah, I'll be back. Okay, we're back. We got the control cavity installed where it's going to go. And basically the guitar is completely assembled except for electronics, which we're going to, next video we're going to do, or actually adding on to this video, we're going to do wiring next. But I'm going to have to take a couple of days for all the parts to come in that I ordered. And when they come in, we're going to resume and finish this guitar. We're going to wire it, set it up, and give a full-on demo, which I'm looking so forward to. Anyways, this is what we came out with today. Can't wait to get back on this in a couple days, and let's get this baby done. Okay, here's the Esquire all put together, all strung up. Actually, right out of the box, the thing played real good. This is going to be a great guitar. Anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So today we're going to put the finishing touches on this thing so I can post this video for y'all. Today we're going to do the wiring. And I said before, we are going to do a three-way switch with something called the Eldred mod, which is basically a cocked wah-wah mod when you're in that position on the switch. This will be basically volume and tone like regular. This will be volume straight out back, no tone. And this will be something special. So, let's get to doing the mod. Now, on this switch, I'm using a CRL switch. And on the CRL switches, in the Central Lab switches, these are the position of these tabs are switched backwards. So I had a nice drawing drawn up for you guys. I was gonna actually shoot some stills of, but being I'm using this switch, I found online an Eldred mod, the Eldred mod for this kind of switch. So I'm just gonna walk you through this thing. First things first, we're gonna take, this is a 4700 4700 picofarad capacitor. So first thing we're going to do with that, we're going to put it in the first leg of this switch, just like this. I'm going to solder this in, and then we're going to put it on the pot to ground. But let me get that soldered in real quick. Okay, I don't want to block you guys, but oops. Let me pull this over a little bit so it stays. It's a pain. Okay. Should work. Okay, and that's to the switch. Now I'm going to cut the extra leg off of here. We're not going to need it. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, the cap is soldered to the first leg of the switch. Now we're going to take this leg right here. We're going to go back and we're going to solder this to the base of the pot to ground. And let me get this down for you. I'm going to heat this up. Nice and hot. And we're going to put it just like that. A little bit of solder goes a long way. I'm also using Boren's 250K audio taper pots. Okay, so now we got that wired. Now what we got to do is, it's going to be a little different. Instead of running a ground from the pot to the from the first leg to the base of the pot, we're not grounding it that way with this circuit. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this ground wire here, we're going to put it to this leg of the pot. This leg of the switch. And then we're going to ground it to the back of the pot. Actually, I'm going to ground it to the pot first. So get a little solder. Clean off my soldering iron tip. Alright, put some solder on there, and basically we're going to go straight back. And just like that, I'm going to put a dot more on there as soon as I get this soldered in. There we go. Okay, there we go. It's a great solder joint, just the way we like it. I'm going to tuck that off to the side. Now, I'm going to refer online to my next step. Next step, I'm going to be hooking this leg of the pot up to the switch. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a jumper that's going to go between this lug here, that lug there, and that lug there on the pot. Okay, we're back. I have these two lugs of our switch tied together by that wire, which is leading to that lug of the volume pot. Okay, now next what we're going to do is we're going to hook up this lug here all the way back to this first lug on the switch, like right there. So let me get a piece of wire cut, and we're going to do that right now. All right. Actually, I'm going to use a new wire. Sorry about the delay. Just trying to find color wire to use just to keep all this together. So if any other tech gets in this guitar years later, it's going to be like, wow, what's going on here? Everything will be color coded, and he'll know each color does a different function. Okay, that's one. And let me see how long this is. We're going to drop it. Go there, and we're going to go all the way to there. So yeah, we can leave it about as long as I got it right now. That'd be just fine. Okay, twist this up. Okay, we're gonna put this on here. Actually, I'm gonna pre-tin this. It's always good to pre-tin your wire. It gives a much better connection. And it'll also stick your wire down when you're going to solder it in place. Always good to do that. Okay, let me heat this up. Get this wire in place. It's really being a pain today. Get that that in there. Just like that. We're going to pull it back just about like that. We're going to get a little solder on here. Get her in there for good. There we go. Now we're going to tin this end. Okay. And we're going to come all the way around back here. Going to heat up the slug and push this on through. Okay. Now I'm going to trim away this excess that's sticking out. Keep this nice and neat. Both sides. Okay. Alright. So, now we have this slug here hooked up to that. Also, our pickup hot lead's going to hook up to the same lug too. So we're going to come back when we put this in the guitar and we're going to put that back in. Now I'm going to reference back online and check out. Next we're going to hook up our tone. So what first we're going to do is we're going to hook up. This is a 0.022 capacitor. We're going to hook the 0.022 capacitor to this. We're going to ground it to the pot and hook it up to this first lug right here. Sorry for referencing this again and again online, but because of the switch we're using, the game changed, and the wiring is in fact a little bit different than the original sketch for the Eldred mod. But all good. We're kind of learning together. Okay. So there, gonna cut off this leg right there, and we're gonna take this back just like that. And we're going to ground it to our pot face. And there we go. Trim off the excess, and there we have it. Next, we're going to hook up from this second lug right here on the pot. We're going to bring that around, and I believe we're going to there with it. Let me take a look. Oh, nope, we're going right to... We're going to go right to there with it. This one right there. To the tone stack, okay? So let me get a wire. Actually, let me trim a wire. We'll be right back. Okay, now we got the tone pot hooked up to the switch by the center lug on the tone pot, just like that, with this white wire to this lug on the switch, which would be our 1, 2, 3rd lug from that end. So that's all hooked up, and now what we're going to do is we're going to hook up with the incoming power to the pot and to the switch is going to be. Basically, this wire here is going to go to this lug like that. Actually, we get under there. And that's going to go out to the jack. This lug here, this wire here is also going to go on this lug. And what this is going to do, it's going to couple that lug of the pot to that lug on the switch. Anyways, let me get this soldered up to the pot real quick. And then we're going to solder up to the switch. And I do believe that's our last solder connection that we have to make to the switch. Let me clean this off just a little bit better. There we go. Okay. I'll check this real quick. There we go. And we're going to run this. I'm going to run this from underneath because it'll look better into that lug. So we get that through. That's a little blob of solder on here. Let me knock this down from when we tinned it. Okay, now I'll push this through and we'll solder this up. Just like that. And there we go with that. I'm going to get a little clean solder on here. Go with the little gray. There we go. Beautiful. Nice and clean. Okay. Now, I'm going to push these wires out of the way. Kind of get these together. Kind of knock them back. And I'm going to double check with my page online. And make sure everything is good. So we have nothing coupled to ground, to first lug, to first one out there, the tone stack, and there we go. Everything here is all wired up. Now what we got to do is turn the guitar around. We're going to wire our pickup. Our pickup is going to go to this first lug here, I do believe. Yes, our pickup will go to this first lug, and then we'll wire up the jack. Anyways, let me turn the guitar around. I'm going to take these two screws out of here real quick. We'll get back to you in a second as soon as I get the guitar ready. Okay, we're back. Here's our pickup wire right here. We're going to set our pickup wire to this lug on the switch. Just like that. I'm going to come back with some fresh solder as soon as I find where I put it, which can't be too hard to find because it was like right here. It's probably under the guitar. It is. Okay, got the solder, and what we're going to do is get this connected real nice with a nice hot blob of solder, not blob, hot melt. There you go, nice and shiny. So you can see there we're all put together. Next thing what we're going to do is we're going to put the pickup ground wire right here. We're going to ground it to the back of the pot. And let me move that out of the way real quick. I'm going to do that. Get a little solder on the iron, just like that. I'm going to hold that back. Put a little solder here on the pot. Bees flying all around me. It's like an obstacle course back here, but here we go. Okay, pickup is now grounded to the back of the pot. We got our hot wire. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pick a ground wire where you have to come off one of the pots. And I got a bridge ground, so the bridge ground is also going to have to be grounded to the pot. So actually I'm going to put this bridge ground right next to the pickup. We'll just go right by it again. Just like that. Alright. This is pre-tinned wire, which is real nice. It's a nice connection. It holds it down real good. There we go. Now our bridge ground is on. And basically what I got to do is run my ground from the jack to the back pot. So for that I'm going to use another piece of this pushback. It just looks nice. It's very old school. I like it. So gotta go ahead, push that back like that, and we're going to put a little solder on this pot so I can stick this as soon as I can find the solder. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm going to put some solder back here. Just like that, and we're going to stick this right here. This is pre-tinned wire. Like I say, it's really nice. So you don't really have to pre-tin it. You just go ahead and drop this on, and there you go. We got both our connections. And I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to twist these together. I always do that when I go out to the jack. Just like that. Alright, so basically now we could drop this in there and we could get to wiring our jack. So what I'm going to do is make sure these wires are out of the way. Not going to get caught up or damaged. And we're going to drop this in. I might have to move this capacitor, which I am. That's okay. Move it straight down, and we're going to drop our jack wire through the other side. I'm going to use an electrosocket, which is really great for this. And get this wire out of the way because this is tight. Okay, we're going to drop this in just like that. Alright, so we now got that in. And I'm just going to tighten these up real quick. Let me get back to you after I get this tightened, and we'll be ready to put the jack in. Okay, now it's time to wire our jack. This is called an electrosocket. These are great for telecasters. Basically, we're going to take our jack, it's threaded, and we're going to thread our jack into the base of the electrosocket, just like that. Give it a good tightening, just like so. And now we're going to wire up our jack. Basically, as you know, you get my pointer. Center part of this jack right here is always ground. And there's your tab that goes to the center part. That's always your black wire, your ground wire. This will be your white wire, which goes around and goes to this blade, which basically when you put your jack in there, the tip of the jack hits against that, and that's your hot wire, just so you know. Anyways, let's push this back. And we're going to go, first we're going to go our hot side. Just like that. Get my solder. Heat it up. Get a little more on there too. That's where you don't want failures at your jack. Be playing a show and all of a sudden, hey, where's my guitar? Oops. Yeah, I want a nice good solder joint like that down there. Next we're going to do our ground. Right here, so we're going to push that back. I'm going to go from inside out. Just like that. And I'm going to get that soldered in there just like that. And take a good look at this, see how it looks. You get a little bit cleaner. Got a little soot on there. We'll reheat that up. And there we go. Nice and shiny. Pretty. So, I'll resume twisting that the way I was. And what you do then is you just take the electrosocket. This is really cool. And you just push it right in. It'll fit right in the hole. What I usually do, I'll leave these screws lined up, these holes lined up there and there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with the drill, and we're going to drill through here. We're going to drill through there. And we're going to put these screws in, which secures it. And basically really cool. I mean, these things are really great. It's one of the best innovations that came up with. All right, that being said, I'm going to go in, and then we're going to give this thing a test to make sure everything's working properly. Okay, now we're in here to demonstrate this thing. This thing is really cool. Okay, first off, we are in position number 1, which is basically no volume, no tone, straight out to the back. Here's how she sounds. Okay, now we're going to position number 2, which is a standard volume and tone. So let's hear it open with the tone open. Now I'm going to roll the tone back. I'll go about halfway open with the tone. Okay, now for one of the cool things is position number 3 is a cocked wah fixed capacitor, fixed tone cap sound, and we'll demonstrate that real quick. It gives you that sweet spot of a wah pedal, like when you cock the wah back and get that sweet sound. Let's play a little soloing on her and see how she is. Let's check it through all the positions. gives you all those positions clean. I'm going to get a little dirty. We're going to spank it up just a little bit. Hold on 1 second. We're going to dirty this up. All right. Okay, we're going to go through the positions again. Casey, explain to them where you're at.
Alright, I'm going to start up in the bridge position on the switch, all the way in the first position with no volume, no tone, just straight pickup in the jack. Position 1. Position 2, standard volume and tone. Turn all the way off. And now the cocked wah sound, all the way in the back position, in the position.
Alright, so basically that's all the tones. This Esquire sounds unbelievable. And this wraps up our hand-oiled Esquire build. Show them the guitar real quick in a hole. And basically we did sneak in a strobe tune to get this thing in tune for y'all. But basically that's it. That's pretty much how we did it and how to do it. She came out beautiful. And thank you guys all for tuning into this thing. We had a lot of fun making this. We're going to have more fun even playing this. Anyways, yeah, never be afraid of anything. Just jump in and do it and get it built. And there you go. Then that's all it's to it is to do it. Anyways, thank you very much for tuning in to the Guitar RX channel. Please like and subscribe the video. We'd appreciate it a lot. And please spread it around. Tell all your friends, all your guitar playing buddies. We got lots of videos all the time coming up. Our next video we're finishing, I don't know if any of you seen it, but we started rebuilding a Telecaster that was totally destroyed called a Disaster Caster, which we now have finished in Fiesta Red. We're waiting for the lacquer to cure to give it a final buff and assembly. But the thing's amazing. Check out that series of videos. We got part 1 and 2 up right now. Part 3 is coming in a couple of days. Anyways, yeah, we hope you liked the video. Thank you very much. God bless.